Welcome everyone, this is Zozo Stockwatch, and let's get ready for the week ahead, July 24th through July 28th. The S&P 500 edged lower Friday, but posted a weekly gain as corporate earnings continue to drive the markets. Earnings will dominate next week as 13 Dow components, 180 S&P companies, and 1,065 overall companies report next week. Tech stocks remain strong. Stocks shake off the lack of healthcare vote. Markets looking forward towards tax reform and infrastructure. The SPY remains in that long-term uptrend. The Nasdaq broke out to new highs, helped by the FANG stocks. Most of the FANG stocks were up for the week, and as you can see here on the Nasdaq Composite, that was up over 1% for the week and shooting at new highs. Next up, we have the utilities, which were also up as yields started to pull back and the utilities started to move up, over 3% for the week on the utilities. The transports didn't fare as well, though. They were down close to 3% this week. The Dow Jones 30 for the week were down fractionally, but still holding trend and still holding above the 10 SMA on the weekly chart. The dollar took a hit this week, pushing down lower and getting near that 200 SMA on the weekly chart. Bitcoin was up this week, and it was up over 6% for the week on the Bitcoin Investment Trust, GBTC. GDX had a 3.3% gain this week on the GDX on the gold miners. GDXJ was also up over 2% for the week. GLD was up 2% for the week. HACK, the cybersecurity, was up fractionally. HYG was up fractionally, the high yield bond, but starting to break out over this 200 SMA on the weekly. IBB had a fantastic week, and that was up close to 3% for the week on the large biotechs. IWC still wrestling with that 90 spot, and that's the micro cap ETF, and you see the battle here going on at 90 for the IWC. IWM pushed up over and pulled back over that 142.90 area, but still threatening to break out and make a new record, and still holding above the 10 SMA. The IYT, which is the ETF for the transports, was down over 3%, but holding the 10 SMA on the weekly chart. JETS, which is the airline ETF, was down almost 4% for the week and touching the 10 SMA on the weekly. JJC, which is the ETF and watches copper, is still stalling here at the 200 SMA, and as you can see, the JJC hit here 200 SMA and now is kind of in a doji undecided candle here as it nears the 200 SMA, and that's copper. OIH, which pulled back, bounced a little bit, is still kind of in no man's land and trying to hold the 10 SMA, but in a downtrend on the OIH, the oil service names such as Schlumberger, Halliburton, BHI, and Rig, Transocean. QQQ, which makes up the Nasdaq, pushed up near new highs and near that 144, 145 level. ROBO, which is the automation index, pushing up near new highs. SLV, silver, up over 3% for the week. SLX, which is the ETF for steel, was down for the week fractionally. SMH was up and pushing up, but not near all-time highs. Still has that $90 level to break on the SMH, but was up, is trending up, and holding the 10 SMA on the weekly chart. The S&P 500 ripping to new highs, holding the 10 SMA, breaking out over this resistance and pushing higher. The SPY, which is the ETF for the S&P 500, also doing the same. UNG Nat Gas down here near the lows, so nothing much going on there. USO started out strong for the week, but then ended up down almost 3% for the week. And as you can see, we are stuck below the 10 SMA again for the USO. The UUP, which is the ETF for the dollar, is down near that 200 SMA on the weekly chart. The VIX, headed lower. Complacency rules. The VIX is down to $9.36, excuse me, and staying below 10. So complacency rules for the VIX. Next up, we have the XLF, the banking sector, and as you can see, we are getting some resistance here at that 25 level, but still holding above the 10 SMA on the weekly chart for the XLF, the financials. The XME, metals and mining, were up close to 2% for the week. On the XLE, which is the ETF for oil sector and energies, that was down for the week, close to about 0.5%, and still having problems here at this 100 SMA on the weekly chart. Next, we'll take a look at oil, and this is the WTI, light sweet crude oil. And you see we could not get back over, the 50 SMA here on the weekly chart. The 20 SMA is curled still down, crossed over the 50 SMA on the weekly. We came up near the 20 SMA and now we're pulling back. So this 43 may come into play again. This was a big level for the oil stocks. So we'll see if the bulls can hold this 43 level and turn this oil around. But currently, we're on the weak side and still remain in this downtrend for oil. If you look at it on the daily chart, on the oil, we came up over the 50 SMA, but now we're pulling back down. So the 43 level is crucial to oil. We did pull back down below it. We went as low as 42.05, but we've bounced off that, but we haven't made much progress. And you see most of the moving averages are curled over on this daily chart that I'm showing you here. TAN, T-A-N, the solar ETF, though, remained positive for the week and was up over 3% for the week. And that's such names as First Solar, which had a good week, up over 5%. And also SPWR was up close to over 7% on those two solar names. So solar hanging in there and holding strong and pushing up, even though oil is moving down. Some things we need to be aware of in the market, as I had showed you, the VIX is at all-time lows and the complacency that's out there. But we need to take a look at some things. What you're looking at here is insider transactions ratio. And it's been on the low end, and now all of a sudden it's pushed up to 60 on the insider's transaction ratio. So that could be a warning sign for the markets. When it's low like this, this is bullish, and now you see we're up in the bearish camp. So insider ratio and this is from Barron's, and so that had a big switch this week. So keep your eye on that. Also, the NAAIM, NAM, the National Association of Active Investment Managers, is at 84.26 for the week of July 19th. And we'll go ahead and take a look at this chart. And you see we were up here at the highs, and now we're starting to curl down for July 19th, and we're at that 84.26. So what this is this is the represents the average exposure to U.S. markets reported by their members, and their members are the active managers of. So what this is the active investment managers. So as you see, this is trailing off and moving down. Last week for July 12th, we were at 89. We'll call it 90, and now we're at 84.26. The prior weeks we were at 97, 92, 92, 89, 91, 97, but currently we're below, at 84. So the trend, this has come down a little bit. So that shows, that may be just because of the summer months, but this is something to keep an eye on. As far as the fear and greed index, and this is from CNN Money, we're at about 73. So we're in the greed zone. So just keep that in mind. The other thing that's changed in the market is the mighty dollar. This was The Economist, their cover, and now the dollar and I'll get this out of our way. The dollar for the week was down over 1% for the week. And we'll go ahead and look at the US dollar also on the weekly chart. And as you can see, that was down 1.19% for the week. And on the daily chart, you see the trend has been down. It is not as strong as it was. So let's go ahead and get into some of the best stocks for the week. A small biotech stock, AEZS, was up 166% for the week. TEAR was up 96% for the week. CAPR was up 93% for the week. AKCA was up 43% for the week. QBAC was up 34% for the week. QDEL was also up 39% for the week. KTOV was up 39%. CBAY was up 37%. HPJ, that was up 16%. XGTI was up 26%. VRTX, was up 25% for the week. SITO up 26%. SHLD was also up 10% for the week. AUY was up 10% for the week. CLMT was up 24% for the week. ADTN up 14%. DDS, a retailer, surprisingly up 14% for the week. MGM up 7%. ETFC up 6% for the week. COF was up 7% for the week. Other stocks that were up for the week were NFLX up 17% for the week. SRPT up 23% for the week. TGTX up 12% for the week. RH was up 12% for the week. The surprising stock that was up this week also was PLUG, as Walmart is investing in Plug Power, and Plug Power was up 17% for the week. And Amazon also has invested in Plug Power. So the two powerhouses that are fighting it out on the internet are both invested now in Plug. And that stock took a nice turn and was up 17% for the week. SHLD, which was up 10% for the week, as mentioned, is teaming up with Amazon to have Kenmore appliances be sold on Amazon. So that was some of your best stocks for the week. And now let's look into some of the worst stocks for the week. Some of the worst stocks for the week was CYCC down 46%, DRYS down 68% for the week, and yes, they announced another 1-for-7 reverse split on dries. Can you believe it? PIXY was down 37% for the week, a recent IPO. INO didn't fare well this week, down 25% for the week. CALA, which was a hot as a pistol, is pulled back to the 10 SMA on the weekly, and that was down 15% for the week. COOL was down 9% for the week. POOL was also down 9% for the week. GE, who came out with earnings on Friday, and we'll get into that a bit more, was down 3% for the week. Since the transports were down this week, UAL, which was down 10%, DAL was down 5%, SAVE was down 6%. The only one that fared well in the airline stocks was JetBlue, and that was up fractionally for the week, but holding steady on that 10 SMA. UAL was the one that triggered everything by guiding lower. TEUM, which everybody thought was going to be a powerhouse, was actually down 24% for the week on TEUM. OMNT was down 37%. CMG was down 13%. 100 people got sick at a Virginia restaurant, and we do have rodents at CMG. real or not, we're not sure, but that really hurt the stock. And CMG was down that 13% for the week. CSX was down 6% for the week, and the rails did not help the transports. They had warned on the next quarter coming up. UNP was also down 4% for the week. IBM, which came out with earnings this week, they were down 5%. GS, Goldman Sachs was down 4% for the week. Qualcomm was also down 5%. Home Depot, which may be getting Amazoned, was down 4% for the week and did not help the Dow at all. PPHM was down 12%. APRN continues to have problems and was down 11% for the week. So that's some of your worst stocks for the week. As mentioned, Chipotle was down 13% this week. Chipotle stock is tanking on reports of rats and norovirus at its restaurants. So that did not help the stock at all. And I don't know if you're squeamish or not, but
got into a restaurant and immediately
so now we have mice in the restaurant. Now, were these mice planted or not? We don't know for sure, but there were mice at the Chipotle. So it looks like a little bit of a setup. I'm not sure. It's amazing that the camera was right there to capture those mice. But, the stock was down nevertheless 13% for the week. Chipotle shuts down restaurant after customers get severely ill. And that was that Virginia restaurant that I had mentioned. As far as Amazon goes, the FTC is probing allegations of Amazon's deceptive discounting. So Amazon is starting to get a target on its back. And, they could be hurting a lot of jobs in industry. And so now the FTC is going to have a probe on Amazon. So just keep that in mind. General Electric, which came out with earnings on Friday, GE stock falls to lowest level in 19 months after a report shows 12% drop in revenue. And I put a question out on Twitter under Zozo Stockwatch, and I said, I wonder when the Dow is going to kick out GE and replace it with Facebook. So I wonder if that would happen. But GE is having some trouble and has been for like the last 10 years. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the bigger stocks in the NASDAQ. Apple was up 0.83% for the week and holding above the 10 SMA. Amgen was up almost 2% for the week. Nice solid chart there as it's coming up to highs on Amgen. Amazon was up over 2% for the week and riding that 10 SMA on the weekly. AVGO, which is the Broadcom, was up 1% for the week. We had BABA, and that stock was up fractionally for the week and looks a bit stretched here. And so keep your eye on BABA. Bank America down over almost 2% for the week on Bank America. BIIB coming up to that 50 SMA on the weekly chart and just can't get through it. But you would think that the biotech stocks need Biogen to start jumping into the bulls camp here and start moving up to keep the IBB moving up. Citigroup down for the week about 1%. Celgene pushing higher on Celgene, up 2%, over 2% for the week. Facebook making new all-time highs on Facebook, up almost 3% for the week. Google up for the week, up close to 2% for the week. JP Morgan, another financial, down close to 1.5%. Netflix, as we mentioned, had a great week, pushing higher for the FANG names. Nvidia pushing near highs, and that stock was up 2%. Priceline up over 2% for the week and making new all-time highs. Tesla, kind of just consolidating around this 20 SMA on the weekly chart, up fractionally for the week. And lastly, WFC, which was given a sell on Friday, pushed down and down 1.5% for the week. So let's go ahead and get you ready for next week. And I wanted to show you this nifty letter that I get emailed from Biopharma Catalyst. and it's a great tool if you want to stay up on the biotech stocks. The 10 upcoming PDUFA dates for small cap biotech stocks, and we scroll down here, and as you can see, we have ACRX PDUFA date October 12th, ADMS August 24th, ATRS October 20th, DVAX February 25th, so that's a whiles away. But as you can see, you can get the dates of, what's coming up for some stocks here. KMDA August 29th, NEOS coming up on the 15th of September. PTCT received refusal to file letter for their filing. So, just great information from this biotech letter. And if you don't know what a PDUFA date is, Motley Fools is gracious enough to share that. Just type in, for your Google search, PDUFA date, and that will be explained to you. But it's just basically a date for prescription drugs, and when they're gonna, get clearance from the FDA and whatnot. All right, for your economic news coming out for Monday, we have, let's see, PMI flash at 9:45 a.m., existing home sales at 10 a.m., and that's on Monday. On Tuesday, July 24th, we have the FOMC meeting begins, and we have Case-Shiller at 9 a.m., consumer confidence at 10 a.m., manufacturing index at 10 a.m., and that's about it. Next up, we have Wednesday, July 26th, MBA mortgage applications, new home sales at 10 o'clock. We have the petroleum report, which is very important, at 10:30. Don't forget, on July 24th, OPEC and Russia have a meeting. Let me just check my notes, make sure I have that right. Yeah, OPEC meeting in Russia. So OPEC meeting in Russia, July 24th. So that'll be vital also to, watch the USO, WTI for oil. And so that's going to be on Monday, July 24th. And then FOMC meeting announcement on July 26th, Wednesday. Durable goods order 8:30 on Thursday. International trade good, jobless claims Thursday, 10:30 the nat gas report. For Friday, we have GDP at 8:30. We have the employment cost index 8:30 on Friday. We have the Baker Hughes rig count, and we do have some Fed speak on Friday at 1:20 p.m. So that'll be Friday, and that's your economic outlook. But we have a ton of earnings coming out, and I'm going to go to full screen now, and we are going to take a look at some of the earnings coming up for the week ahead. So as you can see, these are some of your top earnings coming out for Monday, and you have Halliburton before the bell, and a bunch of other names. I'm not going to rattle off all these names. You have Google after the close on Monday. Let me see what else is outstanding to me as far as some of the names. Tuesday, we have AK Steel, McDonald's, GM, JetBlue, 3M, Biogen for Tuesday before the open. After the close, AMD, Chipotle, US Steel, AT&T, Amgen, iRobot, Boeing before the bell on Wednesday, Facebook on Wednesday after the bell. Twitter will be before the bell on Thursday, UPS before the bell, Southwest Airlines, and Intel, Amazon on Thursday after the bell, Western Digital. So just a ton of earnings. Gilead is on Wednesday after the bell. For Friday, we have ExxonMobil, Merck, and a whole bunch more. So, be aware of your earnings. If you're in any of these stocks, just keep in mind, that you may have an earnings call. And for your earnings calls, conference calls for Monday, and this is another great site, earnings cast. and you can see all your earnings and hear all your conference calls for the whole entire week. This is Monday, then you see, you just click next. Tuesday, you see the tons of earnings and conference calls here. So just keep that in mind, that there are a lot of earnings coming out for the week ahead. All right, some news that came out for Friday. And we have RDUS had news after the bell on Friday, announces committee for medical products for human use. So RDUS. Next up, we had RPRX Form S3 common stock, over 4 million shares, RPRX. FAST Form 4 direct to purchase, FAST. Next one, AKS announces price increases for carbon steel products. CAG filed Form S3. Reed filed Form SC13D. And let me see, what else did we have coming up for syndicate news. Right here we have BIOL filed Form S3, CAG filed Form S3. And let me see if there was anything else. Top insider purchases, APO 10% owner, SANW 10% owner, Winfield CYCC 10% owner, EA Stern, ANCO CEO purchase 25K, LE 10% owner. So there's your insider purchases and your syndicate news from Friday. Next up we all have your call activity that passed for the week. This was from Friday, and this is given to us from Trade Exchange, and you can have this also mailed out to you. Just reach out to Trade Exchange on Twitter. So call activity in AMD, Colgate, FCX, Groupon, HK, RL, which is Ralph Lauren. Put activity in APC, BMY, CAK, CHK, CPN, SIG, SKX, SLCA for put activity, and VRX, also put activity for options, and that's from the Trade Exchange. Some news that came out from Barron's magazine over the weekend. They're bullish to the bullish side on FLEX. LUK, Barron's is positive commentary in this week's Barron's. NKE Growth Fund Manager featured in this week's Barron's is bullish on the stock for Nike. Facebook, ISRG, ANET Growth Manager, Fund Manager featured bullish on those stocks. BA, LMT, UTX, RTN, GDLL, COL, NOC. Barron's cited the stock's attractive dividend yield on top of the company's growth prospects. So Barron's positive on those defense names. AAOI, LITE, OCLR, Barron's cautious on these names in the Barron's magazine. So AAOI, LITE, OCLR, Barron's cautious on those names. So that came out from Barron's over the weekend. So as mentioned, the SPY remains in an uptrend. So, the markets remain strong, but we do have a lot of complacency. As I showed you in the video, we do have some insider selling going on, and, active investment managers are not as invested as they were before, as that number is down at 84.26. So just keep that all in mind, and noted from the CNN Fear and Greed Index that is around the 70 mark on the Fear and Greed Index, which I showed you earlier in the video. So keep those things in mind. But right now the market is trending higher. It's holding the 5 EMA currently on the daily chart. So, but it is complacent out there, and we do have a lot of earnings coming up for the week ahead. So this has been Zozo Stock Watch. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please hit the subscribe button if you did, and leave comments, retweet my videos. I would greatly appreciate it. Share my videos, and you are more ready for next week than you were before. Have a great weekend. Don't forget that my next video will be coming out, will be stocks to watch. Thank you very much for listening, and have a great weekend.